one. And we are live. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Bursa Secret Show. Today, we have the privilege to invite Green Packet Management to come here with us. Now, this Green Packet Bhd company is a very, very hot stock. When we are doing Facebook Live or whenever we share some posts, many people has been asking us, hey, what do you think about Green Packet? Right? It's one of the most active stock, and we have seen the share price being very volatile, going up a lot. Then recently it has subsided, but there's a lot of news ongoing and announcement. So rather than we share our opinion, which we may not know fully what it is, why don't you join us here today and learn directly from the management? One thing that you may not know about Green Packet, if you're new in the market, is Green Packet is like the original unicorn. Before we even have this word unicorn, it's the original tech counter in the Malaysia stock market. Okay, so please tune in all the way until the end, because in 20-30 minutes time, we have a Q&A where you can engage with the management. But before that, let me pass the floor to Rondi to share about what he's looking forward in today's sharing. Hi, Rondi.
Yeah, hi everybody. So just a short introduction about Stockbit Malaysia first. Stockbit is actually a fintech startup and is a social networking platform for stock traders and investors. It's a place where you can discuss, you can learn, and you can analyze stocks. And actually, we are turning 2 years old soon in KLSE. And right now, we are actually building a growing and a very healthy community to narrow the information gap for traders and investors in KLSE. So as a content writer in Stockbit today, and as well as I'm personally a tech enthusiast and also an angel investor to startup companies, I'm actually very excited to be talking to CC Puan and the Green Packet team. As you know, I feel like they are at the forefront of technology and innovative Malaysia in the future. So what I would like to take away from today is really to see if Green Packet is more than just a trader company, to understand the businesses as well as I can, and see if there is any potential for investment in the company. That's my introduction. I think now we will have a short video from Green Packet.
Okay. So, Rondi, maybe you can let's invite Mr. CC Kwan, the founder and
Yes.
CEO of Green Packet, to share with us an opening remark on what today's sharing will be all about. Hello, Mr. CC Kwan.
Hi, Randy. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes, Randy, please continue.
No, we are done. So it's your presentation.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Randy and Bumitek. I'm extremely excited to be here to share really a little bit about Green Packet. You know, how do we design the whole group to really help Malaysia, even the whole Southeast Asia, to move to the next level in terms of digital transformation. I'm extremely excited today having all of you joining us on this session. So actually, it's really our first time that we are start engaging from our retail investor. Thank you to Rondi and Bumitek of giving us this opportunity. So today I'm having both my executive director and also my CFO, Kay Tan, and also Fu, my CSO that just joined us for the last 1.5 months. Kay has been an old buddy of mine we know each other since 30 years ago. So we were uni mates, and today we are still continue building on the company. But today is so special to have all of you join us tonight because it's also first time that we're sharing our journey and the future with all of you. And most exciting that just 5 minutes ago, everyone from my family, from my wife and my 4 kids are dialing in this session and looking at my sharing together with my team. If I'm really looking at the team of today about Green Packet, we're talking about really the rebirth of unicorn. Just imagine, you know, year 2000 when I founded a company in Silicon Valley, and in 2003 after the dot-com bubble burst, we are moving the hash back to Malaysia. So with a 20 million contract from China Telecom and Lenovo, then we managed to list our company back in year 2005, and we become the first unicorn. At the time when we listed the company, the market cap was only 150 million, and within 2 years we had grown to a 3 billion market cap company. So before the term of unicorn come about, we were actually the first tech unicorn. But today, this year, we are celebrating 20-year anniversary. Actually, I was away from Green Packet for the last 5 years, and Kay was taking the baton from myself, and I only start coming back up, you know, after we sold off our subsidiary to TM. I was with Telecom Malaysia for 2.5 years. Then after that, on the 2.5 years, we have really set up the long-term strategy and the growth plan for Green Packet, even though P1 was a little bit overshadowed, as a lot of people know about Green Packet because of P1, but actually both our traditional, or if you see it as legacy business, last revenue is still more than 500 million. But over the last 3 years, after, you know, I left TM, we have set up the long-term growth vision, right, for the group. So really today, I think, you know, last quarter, just few days ago, we are announced is our first quarter that we turned EBITDA positive. After 3 years, we get into the transformation journey. I think a lot of building block and cornerstone that we have designed that will fuel the growth of the future of the company, and I wish to share with you tonight with my team here together. So with that, I think, you know, we will start our presentation of sharing with you a little bit about our last 20 years journey, because it's very, very important for you to understand, of course, the up and down of the company, but we always be around, right, because we are building the business for long term. We are creating the value for shareholders. So we want you to understand overall, even though our legacy business contribute very good, also profitable, but I want really the future is going to be important, and the legacy business we are transferring on the future trend, and of all the new businesses that we are building in are all.
Okay, we'll move on with the presentation. Hi everyone. Let's share the screen. Okay, next. Okay, let us start by walking you through the Green Packet business pillars so that you understand what business we are in, what space we are operating in. So we have two pioneering pillars. On the left, on your left, you will see the solution pillar and the communication pillar. These are our pioneering pillars. In the solution area, we manufacture wireless broadband devices, media players, things like IPTV set-top boxes. We provide the equipment for 4G and 5G in premises. In fact, we will be at the verge of launching our 5G customer premise equipment very, very soon. In the communication space, we are in the business of wholesale of voice minutes and data, and we are venturing into the new space of A2P SMS. If you do a banking transaction and you get a SMS notification for authentication, that is an example of what A2P is. Now, in these two legacy of pioneering business, we are going to be adding on, we hope, in the near future, new business that is going to expand on their growth. On the solution side, we are in the process of awaiting the results of our SilTerra bid. We have a lot of confidence in the semiconductor space. In case you're not aware, our E&E export contributes 38% of Malaysia's export, of which 52% are semiconductor based. And SilTerra is a very key part of that value chain. It has a very big role on the front end of the E&E value chain. We have a very strong back end, but also in partnership with our domestic as well as foreign partners that we're going to bring in for the acquisition of SilTerra, we will be able to help SilTerra optimize its utilization and also to be able to create new opportunities for SilTerra to continue to continue to grow. So that's in the solution space, which is essentially about devices and also software. Now, in the communication space, some of you may have heard that we are looking at investing in hyperscale data center. So data center is a fast-growing business in Malaysia. Based on MDEC statistics, we are expected to grow from 54 megawatts to 159 megawatts, to 104 megawatts in the next 5 years, from 2019 to 2024. Now you'll be wondering, what is this megawatt thing, right? So to give you an idea, 10 megawatt conservatively is the space of about 180,000 square feet. So in our plan right now is we intend to invest in these hyperscale data center that really complements our communication business pillar, because we will wholesale the capacity from the data center, right? So that gives you a glimpse of the pioneering business that we currently still maintain, and they are doing well. They're turning around. In fact, communication is EBITDA positive for Q3 of 2020. Now, in the last 3 years, we have ventured into the new area. You will see a little bit to your right, the digital services. Essentially, for the last few years, we were in the fintech and the proptech space. This includes what you commonly see as products such as e-wallet. Behind the scene, we have the payment gateway where we process the transaction. We also provide wallet as a service. You may have experiences with retailers which provide you with wallet service, but actually the entire solution is provided by companies such as us. So it is entirely branded to them, but actually the system behind it is all belonging to companies such as ours. So we also have been in the PropTech space for the last couple of years. This helps in the space of property management, digital management, smart parking. We have license plate recognition technology. And this came to the forefront during the pandemic because people were looking for contactless and contactless type of property management system. So things like facial recognition, AI cameras, and all that will fall into this space. You would have heard about our partnership with Tencent, which is a 10-year partnership, and we will be together with Tencent Cloud offering our various cloud-based services, which include managed services, software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. You may also have heard about our proposed acquisition of Zendity, which is in the process of closing, and I think we will close that deal in the next couple of weeks, probably before the year is out. Zendity is well known as a provider for eKYC, and this is going to be a big growth space because all the banks and financial institutions will now need to have eKYC capability, and we are in the right place at the right time to provide them with the solutions. Also in the news in the last couple of months is our attempt to, we will be applying for a digital banking license, and the application is likely to open early 2021. And if you look at the services and solutions that we have been offering in the digital space, we are very well placed to be able to compete for a digital banking license. The other two pillars to the right, one of which is very interesting, is the AI and IoT pillar. This is handled through our associate company. We own 28% of G3 Global, and this is where the AI Park development, you may have seen it in the video, in collaboration with Tencent and China Harbour. This is going to be the vehicle that will be undertaking the AI Park development. And lastly, to the far right, we have divested, like Sisi mentioned, our legacy small holding in Weeby. And so that has also enabled us to clean out our balance sheet, which is essentially zero gearing, and we will be able to gear up to be able to invest in our digital services in the near future. Next slide. Okay, now we are pivoting into digital in a big way, and it's very easy to remember what we are getting into, the businesses that we are getting into. It is essentially just like the nursery rhyme that you were seeing when you were young. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A is for artificial intelligence, B for blockchain, so things like Bitcoin. C is cloud computing, we spoke about Tencent Cloud. B is big data, obviously a data center is part of it, but also data analytics. E is Internet of Everything, actually it's Internet of Things, but we change it a little bit and call it Internet of Things, of Everything. Basically, these are devices that are connected to the internet that is going to make life a lot more richer for all of us. And of course, 5G is 5G, which is, FG rather is 5G. Basically, this will be the carrier in which a lot of our services are going to be sent to the customers and also to the enterprises. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, if you remember that, that's what Green Packet is today and going to be tomorrow. Next slide. Okay, some key highlights here today, some of which I have mentioned. I think the turnaround of our communication pillar, and we are quite confident also that our solution pillar will be turning around in the near quarters. We've completed our first tranche of private placement of 10%, with the second tranche in progress. 5% has been completed, another 5% is expected to be completed in the next couple of weeks. We have unwinded the EMTM with telecom, so that brings our balance sheet to near zero gearing, allowing us to gear up to invest in the new digital businesses. Tencent Cloud, our exclusive partner in Malaysia for the next 10 years for cloud-based services. Zendity is our eKYC solution, and it also really strengthens our ability to compete for digital banking license. G3 Global has received the letter of intent from Technology Park Malaysia to develop the AI Park in Bukit Jalil, Kuala Lumpur. Some of the other key initiatives in the pipeline, which I've also mentioned, digital banking, and we are awaiting the result of our bid for SilTerra from the government and Khazanah Nasional. Next slide. A little bit of highlight about our associate company, G3 Global, and this is the vehicle that, like I mentioned, that will undertake the development of the AI park. We have received the LOI for the 220-acre AI park development. The GDP is expected to be about 30 billion over a 20-year period. And right now we are in the process of discussing the terms with Technology Park Malaysia. And I think you should watch this space in the next year. We should have a lot of updates on the AI park. And one of the anchor development of the AI park will be the hyperscale data center. So just to be clear, the hyperscale data center will be a communication business. It's an infrastructure business. It's an asset that is owned under communication, from which Tencent and Green Packet will be able to take some of those capacity and offer them as cloud services under digital services. And then finally, the construction of the property itself will be undertaken by G3 Global, and it's very likely that the asset will be located in AI Park. Next. I just want to give you some group financial highlights before handing over the time to Kay to talk about the segmentals. So at the group level, next slide, in terms of revenue, quarter on quarter was improved by about 12%. Basically, the revenue has improved across the segments, with the only exception of digital services, where we were really impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, as most businesses are impacted. But if you look at communication and you look at solutions, we have improved on the top line. Next. In terms of the EBITDA, we are very pleased that at a group level, we have become EBITDA positive by a small fraction, but nonetheless, to be in EBITDA positive is a very good sign. And again, across the different segments, there are improvements in the EBITDA performance. With the exception of solutions, Kay will explain to you, we have a one-time impact from our MyTV exposure. He will explain to you why the solution performance is as such at the EBITDA as well as the PAT level. Next. At the PAT level, again, we have improved quarter on quarter. We have narrowed the the loss after tax to 7.7 million this quarter. And again, you see improvement in all sectors, with the exception of solution, which is impacted by the MyTV exposure. So with that, I hand over the time to Kay for him to talk you through the segmental financials. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thanks, Koo. If I may share a little bit on some of the segmental financials, and we'll dive deeper into the areas that Koo mentioned just now, our existing businesses of solutions, communications, and digital services. And what are some of the things that we see? What is the market? How we target to actually penetrate or go into this market to actually scale further, and also our Q3 results. So on the solutions business, for those that are unfamiliar, we actually sell wireless broadband devices. Now, what are these wireless broadband devices? This will be what you see as your Wi-Fi router at home. When you subscribe to a broadband service, you do have this device to give you that Wi-Fi out. And these are the products that we sell, primarily for the wireless operators. And these are people like Maxis Telkom BJ in Malaysia. But we sell a lot of this, 95% of the revenue out of Malaysia in the 6 continents of the world. So that's one. The other one, we do IPTV set-top boxes. So this gives you your digital terrestrial television. We also do smart mobility devices. And this particular OBD device plugs into your car. So take it like a Fitbit for your car. And recently in Malaysia, over the COVID, you have seen a lot of our advertisements come out. And what are these products will be on the right-hand side. So these are facial recognition access control devices. If you go to a supermarket, you will see that these devices also take your temperature control, right? So we sell a lot of this. We do facial recognition cameras. These are for airports and ministries. We also sell license plate recognition cameras. So instead of taking a ticket to actually get into your parking, we do the license plate recognition to just recognize your license plate, and you're able to go in and out of the parking and make a cashless payment. We have also done facial recognition cameras, and this is for payment. So, for example, we do this in schools, whereby the school children cannot bring a mobile phone. What we do there is to have the children use the face to actually make that payment. So all in all, this one we sell across 6 continents, about 70 countries. We have 100 odd telecom customers globally, and more than 10 million devices shipped over our history. Moving on to the next slide, will really be where we see is the serviceable addressable market. And we position ourselves to be really the top 5 global CPS suppliers worldwide. Why this is so, right? If you look at even COVID, everybody is starting to work from home already. You will need broadband connectivity more and more in the homes. And because of that, then we also see a surge in people requiring the need for our devices, i.e. our telecom operator partners. This is also an opportunity to tap into underserved markets. For example, we have the education segment market. We also sell a lot to rural broadband providers, and this is where, narrowing the digital divide. We are proud to say in Q3 alone, we received an order book of more than 23 million, and that we will deliver over Q4 and a little bit spill over to next year. So if you look at the fixed wireless market trend, this year we're forecasting about 18 million kind of units to be shipped, right? Over the next 5 years, so about 34 million in the markets that we play with. So you can easily see there is a potential to even double the number of shipments. Moving on to the next slide, earlier Ku mentioned that we are looking at the acquisition in SilTerra, and this is something that we feel is a catalyst for growth. Really moving into the upstream segment of the device business. The SilTerra wafer foundry, right? They do produce certain wafers that are very good for IoT, very good for 5G, whereby you do see huge demand coming out when the whole 5G network is being set up. And this is if we are able to now move, for example, the SilTerra investment into higher value added activities, away from the lower end of the testing, and equipment of the E&E segment, right? So we see good take up, and why we're interested, because a lot of our suppliers, in terms of the global supply chain that we work with to get our devices out there, they are looking at potentially chipsets from SilTerra. Moving on to the next slide, this will be our Q3 revenue. We ended the quarter with more than nearly close to 26 million revenue for this particular segment. If you look at the September 2020 numbers, we registered higher year-on-year against the same period last year, September, of about close to 7%. And post MCO, which hit a little bit of the China production in March and towards May and April and May. So you see that recovery in terms of both the production capability and the shipments. That's why we are able to have one of our highest quarters over the last 1 year. In terms of the EBITDA for September itself, if I will bring you to the orange color part, right, we were impacted close to about 8 million by one of the projects that we had. It's a legacy project of 2 years back, whereby it's really shipping for the DTT switch off in Malaysia. So because of some extra delivery charges, because of MCO that we have to ship direct to the home rather than a batch delivery, it hit us about 8 million. So that's a one-off that actually hit us in September. If I were to move on to our next pillar, which is actually our communication pillar, we actually operate this out of Singapore. So the whole team is in Singapore. And what we do on the communication front is really both voice and data traffic. We are a wholesaler. So we buy from telecom operator A and sell it to telecom operator B, or maybe take another traffic from telecom operator B to C. So for example, Singapore wants to transmit a voice or data traffic to Malaysia Maxis. They can actually connect direct, or they connect through us, through our whole hubbing engine. And we are able to do this better is because of our economy of scale. also the fact that we are connected to more than 200 over global telecom operators already. So for one operator to connect to the other, they don't need to talk to 200 people. They just talk to us and we can do the interconnect. So we deliver about 2 over billion minutes on a yearly basis. In terms of the serviceable addressable market, this continues to be a revenue generating arm for the group. It has moved to profitability this quarter already, and we have an opportunity to capture from the sort of 5% mid-range target in terms of the serviceable addressable market in this part of the world. We are more concentrated on ASEAN and Asia, and we see that there is an opportunity to go to about 15% market share. Why so? A lot of the telecom operators are actually shutting down their own internal unit, and they are more and more going to rely on players like us to actually go on the hubbing traffic. As Koo mentioned earlier, there's another portion of this business that not many people recognize, but it is really the A to P SMS. This is where when you do an authentication, the bank or some app send you an SMS to authenticate, and we do that. The buying and selling of the app to the app players. Now, the catalyst for growth, as Koo mentioned earlier, for this communication segment is really, the ability, all the power to actually build a hyperscale data center, right? What does it mean by a hyperscale data center? It's actually facilities that allow organizations to actually come to this facility, build out a data center quickly possible within the same location and in order to scale, so that you actually get large tenants coming into the data center rather than the small enterprise tenants. And this is how, via the collaboration on communication, we have our relationship with most of the global carriers in the world, and they're interested to actually have a landing point in Malaysia. That's one. The second one is really we are our own customer on the Tencent side, and the third part is because we have that very good opportunity in the AI park, and that land is in nearby TPM. We already have the dual power grid, so on and so forth, to actually build this data center up easily. Yeah. A little bit on the communication highlights. We average around 140 million kind of quarterly revenue for this one. Starting from Q1 of this year, right, we have actually focused our target on more profitable routes. So therefore, you see that we managed to turn around this pillar in terms of the EBITDA side, whereby both Q1 and Q3 are positive. In June 2020, we also wind down our B2C business in Singapore, which is actually an MVNO business. So that one we have fully shut down that business. Yes, impacted a little bit in terms of the winding down costs in June. Right now it is a pure play voice and data business for communication side, right? Moving on to the digital services side, this is where we have a few brands going out there, and this one, for viewers out there, I think you will be slightly more familiar with this brand. It is the Keppel brand, and our promise in the Keppel brand is really digital services and beyond payments. We have 4 brands that we went out to the market with. One, Keppel Biz. This is your payment gateway that e-commerce operators use this particular payment gateway to actually get your e-commerce transactions from Visa, MasterCard, your online banking, and also the ability for all the major wallets to be accepted in the payment gateway. So you have Boost, Touch and Go, Grab, your Ali and your WeChat, both Malaysia wallet and also China-based wallet on renminbi. Yeah. So that's Keppel Biz, our payment gateway. We also operate Keppel Pay, and Keppel Pay is actually a B2C e-wallet that we are very specific in this target segment. So we go to the education sector, and this is where cashless campuses for universities is the target segment. We enable the entire campus to be cashless, both on the things that the students use from your makan, from your bookshop, from your laundry, from your mini market, all the way to the back end where the university services, for example, your library, maybe small payments on your tennis court, your parking summons, so on and so forth. So we do a lot of integration with the university to enable the cashless campus to happen. The next brand is actually Keeper Home, which we have rebranded Keeper Life, and that's where you see a lot of the residential management services and also the office management services on both facial recognition, thermal sensor, and also an application to actually check in and check out of the particular premise that you go into. And it is also a communication app that enables all this to happen. Keeper Park is actually our license plate recognition, whereby you tie the license plate and you don't need to even bring out your touch and go card or even Visa MasterCard to do that wave on the machine. And definitely this is entirely cashless. So we have a BM, a Bank Negara license running this, a Visa Master PCI DSS certification, and the platform that we run on is MPGS and CyberSource from Visa. We also are able to provide a prepaid card tied to the wallet for this user. Yeah. Now, because this is also a digital services pillar, very important is the customer onboarding process, whereby the catalyst for growth, and we have seen earlier who mentioned the acquisition of Zenity. This is where we are able to do a full digital onboarding process. Step one, we take and authenticate the ID, be it your Malaysia IC or your passport. The second is we will take a selfie of the person, match it against the ID to make sure that that person and the ID matches. Obviously, the ID has to be also authenticated with various landmarks and so on and so forth. The third one is we are able to, together with our exclusive partner, CTOS, able to verify ID from the credit bureau, so you have a credit scoring. And the fourth part is really a live question to actually get it on the so things that for example, what is the first car loan? Which bank do you take your first car loan? So that verifies the entire process that you are you, and now you are able to fully digital onboard to a certain application.
Yeah. Just adding to case explanation, probably for you on eKYC, actually the easiest to understand. Right now, if you wanted to open a bank account, you need to be physically present to the branch for them to verify your IC and you are the real person. For you to subscribe to a telecom service, you will also need to present yourself. But right now, this eKYC literally, especially because of the pandemic, because of MCO, a lot of people cannot be present physically. So literally, all this can be done digitally via our eKYC technology. So right now, that's why Bank Negara has also issued the framework and support. Actually, right now, you can go to bank using our Zenity or Keeper ID eKYC. You can open an account online. You can subscribe a telecom service online. You can pay anything online, and your authentication on your ID is verified. So that is really the power of eKYC, and we are seeing of tremendous growth on take-up on this, especially we all see COVID-19 actually accelerated digital transformation adoption, at least push forward for another 5 to 7 years.
Can we go back to the slide?
Okay, the other catalyst for growth in the digital services segment, and this one who have elaborated, and you have seen our launch in July of this year, whereby we have actually signed up the ability to actually run a cloud business together with Tencent. So we are practically the local leg for the global Tencent cloud. And if you look at the players out there in the world, right, you have the top 5 being Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Ali, and also Tencent. Some of the other players, even big, but they are nowhere near these giants. For example, even IBM and Huawei. Yeah. So in order to do well in this business, you actually need to have the global scale. What it means by the global scale is really the global nodes. When somebody signs up, you do have to have that low latency around the global network in order to operate a good cloud business. Number one.
Number two, you need the economy of your scale in terms of the technical know-how to actually keep the cloud up and running 24/7 with very, very strict SLAs. And the third is really the ability to procure hardware space, data center space on the cheapest possible because of the scale. And then you are able to offer this to the market at a very competitive price. So therefore, size does matter in here. And we are very proud to say that we are the local partner for one of the top 5, which is Tencent. Right. If you look at the cloud space here, and some of you may not be able to see this if it's too small, but let me just read it out in terms of the top to the bottom, which is the pink to the purple in this part of the slide. Managed services is actually one part of the revenue on the cloud side. The second would be security services, i.e. your cyber security and so on and so forth. The third is infrastructure as a service, and this is where we rent out server space. So rather than you buy 10 server, keep it in your own server room, you can actually rent that server space from cloud operators like us under the Tencent brand, or platform as a service, which is really what we have also done on our end. For example, KeepleBiz, the payment gateway is actually a platform as a service. Our KeeplePay white label is actually a platform as a service, and Tencent does have about 200 odd services that are able to be localized in Malaysia to be actually offered to companies in Malaysia. So that's platform as a service, and also you have software as a service. So these are the 5 revenue streams that a cloud service operator is able to offer. And yeah, these all 5 services are the ones that we want to go out to the market to actually offer when we build the entire end-to-end cloud offerings. The digital services in terms of the revenue, we hit about 1.4 million in terms of the top line this quarter. This is still an investment pillar for us. So we foresee for the next 4 quarters, we will continue to invest in this pillar, and the uptake will come in 2022. The 2 businesses that are revenue generating here is really the e-commerce business, which we see a spike even during MCO. The KeeplePay wallet business actually stagnated over the last 2 quarters because actually the universities are not open. So when that universities get open back, then we foresee that the cashless transactions will go back to the normal level like in March. Yeah.
All right, looking ahead, actually I really wanted to share with you, Green Packet had gone through really a long-term journey. As I say, this year is our 20-year anniversary, and this is also a very important milestone year that we are planning actually for the future. We have built Green Packet over the last 20 years, as I will say. We were the first unicorn in Malaysia. Of course, you know, they were up and down in terms of journey. We really take a spade. I mean, there are certain things that we can do better, but definitely over the last 3 years after we divest P1 or VB to Telecom Malaysia, they clean up all our balance sheet. We are really having the whole group actually building for the future. And I just wanted to share with you, right? These are really the 5 core pillars for the whole group moving into our Green Packet 5.0 journey for our next 5 years. Probably for you, a lot of you that have been invested with us, a lot of you are looking at us, wow, you guys are doing a lot of good things. But when is that going to turn profitable? When is that are you going to show the result, right? So we are a company that is really investing for long term, but also at the same time we believe that, you know, a year-to-year performance is very important. That's why you can see from all financial, we are improving quarter on quarter. But I also want to share with you the very 2 key observations. You are looking at even Amazon, right? Amazon being the world's largest e-commerce company,
but their first 10 years or even first 12 years, they were all loss-making and investing for future. Those are in the US. You know, closer to the home, you are looking at the unicorn of Southeast Asia, Grab, right? After many years, they are still investing because it's a long-term investment, you know, with a good vision, and they try to build on. Shopee is the largest, right now leading e-commerce company in Southeast Asia. If you are looking at them, they are still investing. They are talking about losses actually over more than $1 billion ringgit a year just for the e-commerce, right? So of course we are not looking at them because definitely they are building for the whole Southeast Asia. But on Green Packet, we believe that we have built up, transform on all our legacy business to have high growth, either from the device solution and also to the communication services with a hyperscale data center. That definitely is going to not only profitable and existing business, but gear up for high growth in the future, right? And our fintech business and financial services, with the digital bank license that we are applying, we are very confident that we will be able to get the license for the future, so to complete our ecosystem. And our smart devices, we have turned around in the last quarter, and with the acquisition of SilTerra, it will boost, you know, for end-to-end the device ecosystem. And we are, you know, with our associate company, AI CT, right? So we also have a new division that combine the technology and the real estate development together. So these are going to be 5 future key pillar of business division that will support the Green Packet hyper growth for us to move in the year 2021. So and another key message that I wanted to share with you, if you are looking at all the world leading company, you are talking about SenseTime. SenseTime is the world #1 AI company. They choose our associate company G3 to be the exclusive partner, right? Why they make that choice, right? In Malaysia, there are many companies they can go to. Why do they choose G3? And the arrangement is exclusive. Tencent being the world #1, Tencent being the largest company in the whole Asia. The market cap is more than 6 trillion Hong Kong dollar. Why they are choosing to partner with Green Packet, right? And all these world leading #1 company, they are choosing Green Packet and our associate company to be the partner because they have done the due diligence. They're confident that we have our long-term strategy mapped out very well, and we also have the team and execution capability that will support the vision. And we are riding on all these shoulder giants to have all these core 5 business divisions, cloud and data center, investment, whereby you were looking at it, our acquisition of SilTerra is via GP Capital, so that we can attract, you know, inflow of the fund. Even the fund that committed to park the money with Green Packet Capital and acquire for SilTerra is the largest PE fund called China Orient Asset Management. They are the Dana Hustle of China, managing more than $150 billion US dollar. And also on our Triple X, we are also investing for the future. And our digital and financial services, with all the Tencent Cloud software as a platform, with our digital bank coming on board, we are very confident. And our smart devices, we are moving upstream, right? Even with on the chipset, so that we can have end-to-end hardware ecosystem and supply chain that support on our future growth, right? And smart city, we are very good. The first start, right? It's just that, you know, over the last couple of months, we have received the letter of intent from government to develop the 315 acres land in Bukit Jalil, right opposite Pavilion 2. So we are combining the best of ABCDEFG, the exponential technology that anchor the growth of Green Packet, and also with realizing all those exponential technology to improve the life of Malaysians, right? To deliver life improving digital innovation, because that is really the purpose and Green Packet vision to bring our country and also our company to the next level.
Right, thank you. You can now move to the moderators for the question and answer session. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Okay, so thank you guys. I'm actually looking at a lot of questions right now from the viewers. Actually, most of the questions are already answered either from the slide or from what Sisipuan have just mentioned. But I think what I would like to put forth is to try and group them, one by one. And for you, if you don't mind to answer again in a very focused manner. Okay, so firstly, one of the questions that I see all the time is that Green Packet, you guys are doing so many things, and it is actually quite complicated for investors to understand it as a whole. Some businesses are actually out of a lot of our area of competency, right? And the question is, with so many things that you guys are doing, varying from your legacy businesses to the startup companies like the prop tech and the fintech, and all the new ventures into cloud businesses, AI Park, and all this. How do you guys focus and ensure that everything is running as smoothly and as aligned as possible? And I think a lot of us are also wondering, what is actually Green Packet's ultimate goal and mission and vision for the company? So maybe I'll just leave it at that first.
Yeah. I think if I can just take the question, and then Kay and Sisi can add on. I think our focuses are very clear. Sisi has already laid out that they are the 5 areas. We have to remember that we are a little bit of a hybrid organization. We have 2 pioneering pillars that are legacy businesses for the last 20 years. So that's the solution business, which is essentially software and devices, and then we have the communication business. Now, these 2 pillars have improved quarter on quarter, and in the quarters to come, we would like to be able to add on new catalysts for growth. So in the case of solution, that possible catalyst of growth will be the SilTerra acquisition, and for communication, it will be the data center. What is important is, in the last 2 years, we are investing into the new space, the digital services space, and that's where we are adding eKYC, that's where we are adding what you call the cloud-based services, and that's where the major growth is going to come. If you ask us where are the cash generating growth that's going to come in the next 1 year, eKYC will be one of them. Cloud services, we're hoping to be able to roll out by the end of Q1 and should fully roll out to the market in Q2. Those will be more cash generating. The data center and all that will take a little bit more time, but in time to come, it will create recurring income for us. And for both data center as well as cloud services, we are expecting it to be positive in terms of cash flow in 2 years' time. So yes, we are in a situation where we are putting in a lot of investment, but our focuses are very clear. We know which segments we will be positive. We know which segments that we're investing, and we know when, as a group, this turnaround is likely going to be happening.
Yeah. Would Sisipuan like to add on it, or Rondi, are you satisfied?
Yeah.
With
that? Yeah. Probably I want to add on a little bit more. If I'm looking at Green Packet, especially I wish to share with you, a lot of us are really looking at investing based on the previous track record, and also looking at the potential growth in the future. So Green Packet Group, if you are looking at us, we are quite diversified, right? We have been around forever, for 20 years. So our traditional business on the solution and communication are all profitable, and will also have a high growth with our transformation. Adding on SilTerra in the solution, the 5G devices are all high growth area. On the communication, we get into cloud and data center. even the underlying business is already more than 500 million, but all the new component will be the further growth component. All the new businesses are also, we have proven the traction and also the revenue and the profitability are already being seen in the very, very near future. So we are investing actually in the best of both worlds. At one hand, very strong cash flow from the traditional business and add on the high growth component, plus all our new businesses, as you can see, all the traction are in. So we are really in a very, very sweet spot. Is the right time for you to really look at us seriously.
Back to you, moderator.
Okay.
So go ahead with the question.
So I think just to give everyone a very clear understanding on G Packet's business, because now it's so diversified and you're trying to go into new venture and you're thinking there will be a huge growth from that. So maybe let's just clear up in 5 years' time, right? Where do you see your company, G Packet, in 5 years' time? If you can name the top 3 core business that you wish G Packet to become in the next 3 years' time. Could it be the AI park? Could it be the heat pump? Or could it be other segment? So maybe you can name in 3 years' time the 3 top core business. Sorry, in 5 years' time the 3 top core business that you are transitioning G Packet into. What would be the 3 core business?
Actually, Bumitek, I think that is a very good question. But if I'm looking at the overall design of the whole group, as I shared in the last slide, right, we really have 5 major business pillars, right? From solution and also the smart devices that is already also have very, very high growth potential. The communication plus the data center, it will also contribute significant revenue and also the future profitability. And also on our financial services or the new digital services, with digital bank, that we are very, very confident that even with or without digital bank, we will be offering all the financial services as if we are already a bank, because we are a financial institution on triple that being licensed by Bank Negara, and also on our cloud business. As we say, if you are looking at Tencent cloud on the worldwide, for the last 3 years, they have been growing at triple digit, right? So we are very confident that even on cloud, we are riding on the giant shoulder, and we have 10 years exclusivity, not only on the business, but the exclusive use of the Tencent cloud. Of course, the 5th element is really the smart city and the urban type. We have been given 350 acres of land that the most prime pavilion too. So if you really ask me to choose 3, and I really couldn't give you, because all the 5 pillars will be experienced, will be all both profitable and also high. And I also want to share with you again, we call it a unicorn rebirth. Just imagine year 2005 when I leave the company, our market capitalization 300, right? In first company 2005, but on first quarter of 2007 become the first unicorn. Our market grown from 150 million, a 20 in less than 2 years. So exactly the about 600. We had our previous track record. Last time we will only have that solution and communication, and we 3 billion market cap. Moving forward to 2021, we are 600 million market cap now. All the 5 high growth, they are a lot more experienced, and you can see today my team are really the top team. Like with the government, Dr. James, Smart City, and on the was the and he was CEO of Iskan. So we are attracting top talent to help us really execute what we have, the whole growth, the whole 5.
Okay. Yeah. The sound just now was breaking, but let me rephrase. Correct me if I'm wrong. G Packet has a very good track record. It's been around for many years, more than 20 years, right? And you grew from a small market cap company into big market cap, and over the years you have already built up a lot of track record. That's why you're able to secure so many huge projects. Even Tencent is working with you, and the AI city, AI park, right? All this, right? Am I correct? Because just now the line was breaking. That was what I. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So,
okay. We can move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Can we move on to the next question?
Yeah. So, Sisipuan, I know that just now you guys have touched on your profitability and stuff like that. But can I perhaps just ask you to reiterate from because I have a lot of questions on this portion. Well, it's in the last 12 years, right? There are only 2 years in which Green Packet achieved annual profitability. So perhaps this is why the market is quite concerned when it comes to investing in the company for long term. So I guess where I'm trying to come from is that what's the management's plan to get Green Packet back in the black, and which business will contribute to the profitability? I know you actually have mentioned this, and when can we expect this to happen? And will this profitability be sustainable this time around? Because people always say that a guesstimate is better than no estimate at all in terms of trying to understand and value your company.
If you are looking at, just give you a very simple calculation, right? If you are looking at on our ownership, even on our ownership on G3, we own 28%. At the time when we incubate this company by acquiring them and turn them into an AI company, we only invested 44 million. Today, actually, the 44 million investment has grown to more than 500 million worth, right? It's just that we have not much market because it's a long-term investment. So if you are looking at, if we are translating profit of 44 million investment to grow to more than $500 million, we already have a profit of more than 450 million on the value gain, right? So that also demonstrates actually if we just revalue on our assets in G3, we are already profitable from the extraordinary gain. But building business, you see, the traditional business is already profitable, right? And the new business, we only invested for 3 years, right? On the fintech and also financial services and digital. And we believe that it will not be more than, within the next 1 or 2 years around. We revalue our investment. Actually, the whole group actually is already generated so much profit over the last 3-4 years. So I just wanted the investor and the audience that dial in today to really have a deep dive. Actually, by all measure, we are executing the plan and very well. And every month, right? Every quarter, you see our revenue continue to grow on double digits, and our losses, even without taking in our investment, is narrowing every quarter, right? While our expenses is still growing, so that is already a very good sign. So we believe that the revenue and the losses, the gap is narrowing every quarter. So from the trend, you can see is very clear in terms of visibility. So we are very confident that the gap is getting narrower, and hopefully in the next foreseeable, I'm thinking about next 3 or 4 quarters, all the businesses will be all turn profitable.
Just want to add on to what CC is saying. What he's illustrating is actually the segment. It's actually called the sum of parts computation. So if you look at the segments of the company and you value it on a discounted cash flow basis based on profitability in the number of years to come by a certain factor, then purely on the Green Packet business, today the stock should be valued at double of what it is valued in the market. And if you add the G3 global component, it should be triple of what is valued in the market using a sum of parts computation.
But the sum of parts valuation would be based not on earnings, right? Because at the moment there is actually no earnings. Or is this going to be based on future earnings that you're based on your calculation?
Yeah, we suggest, right, if you were to do a calculation, the existing 3 contributing pillars of the business, which is solution, number 1, communication, number 2, and the digital services. What we do is that take a 5-year view on this, do up a cash flow, and the simplest part to do the cash flow is really on the, let's just say EBITDA, for example, right? Take that and what we do on our hurdle rate is maybe, let's say, 8.4% hurdle rate with a 2% terminal value. So you'll come up to a number if you do our projections. That's one in terms of the existing businesses. The other 2 businesses that we talked about earlier in terms of the revenue generation is really on the eKYC side and also the Tencent Cloud side. Now, eKYC alone, the profitability in terms of the gross margins is quite high. It's more than 70-80% of gross margin. So that one is a very good revenue contributor that you will see starting in the next quarter to come. So again, this is a business that when you do a eKYC, is also a recurring part to it. The second one is really Tencent Cloud. Tencent Cloud, we are starting the revenue generation coming from May. And again, do a 5-year discounted cash flow on this business. Look at the global benchmarks. On cloud business, the global benchmark is around sort of a 60% kind of EBITDA. And we expect this to come in year 2 after launch. Year 1, because we are launching halfway, which is May 2021, right? By 2022, this will go steady state EBITDA of about 60%. And this one, you can do some research, and global benchmark on this is about 50% kind of EBITDA. Yeah. So add that all together, mainly we do suggest a discounted cash flow. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what we have just discussed is basically on how to value Green Packet, right? And we're saying that we should do a sum of parts because there are so many different businesses and business parts of the company. And if you add them up together, the value of the entire in entirety would be about maybe double from where it is at the moment. Okay, so
if you add the if you add the G3 valuation, right, which in our books today, that valuation, like just now CC mentioned, is not even mentioned. If you do a mark to market, that alone is, I think, 600 odd million. So you're talking about adding another 50 odd cents just to the sum of parts alone. So that's something pretty available. Yeah. So to answer that, 2 times plus the G3. So that's even. Yeah.
I would prefer to be conservative because G3 is very illiquid. But yeah, I understand where you guys are coming from. Thank you.
Okay. So I think in terms of the new business part, just now as mentioned, the eKYC and the Tencent Cloud, these 2 businesses, is it safe to say that it's pretty sure that you will start to see positive contribution from them in the next 1 year? I mean, like, is there already secured deal? Like eKYC, has the partnership with the banks, all these already been established? And also for the Tencent Cloud, have you already targeted the customer? Is it secure? I think these 2 is already an ongoing business. Is definitely is gonna be launched. So is it safe to say that we will definitely see some positive contribution from these 2 segments in the next 1 year?
Yes, definitely. And to answer the eKYC portion of the business first, It is because the entity is under SPV called, I mean the brand is entity, right? At the moment, we have not completed the acquisition. So that's why you don't see the reflection of the profit into the group yet. Like Ku mentioned, we should be completing by either end of this year or early part of next year. And then that immediate reflection will be into the bottom line. So it's not completed yet, so it's not there. But their business is ongoing already. And that business is today quite robust in terms of the take-up is due to the recent announcement by Bank Negara, whereby they allow, KYC and digital onboarding. So that's one part. Immediate contribution when we close the entire acquisition. The second one on Tencent Cloud, we are planning to launch the cloud business in Q2, as we mentioned. And how this is done, right? First, you have to procure the servers, and we are going through that procurement process right now. And when you set up the cloud business, we don't need to do up the infrastructure. We just need to rent the data center space from colo operators. So you have all sorts of colo operators in Malaysia with a ready data center. So we put in the hardware. Now, where would all these customers come from, right? That's why we are so aggressive going into the segments that we are already selling now. Either the e-commerce operators that we sell our payment gateway to, so we can upsell the cloud service. The second is really the university segment that we do keep the Keeper-based business. So as universities move their data to the cloud, this is also an upsell, for us. The third one is really the partnership with Tencent, right? They do have their gaming business. There's a lot of data or cloud capacity. And being the local leg for Tencent Cloud in Malaysia, they will definitely switch wherever they have out of the country to in-country. And the key catalyst is really the latency. I guess on gaming, people that are on MMO game, latency is very important, right? So obviously they will host their servers locally in Malaysia for Malaysian players, at least. Yeah.
So the summary of the Tencent Cloud really is that the work, the RFP in terms of securing the data center space, the RFP in terms of the server equipment, that's ongoing. At the same time, the go-to-market is already happening because we have existing customers that we can sell to. So therefore, we're quite confident that by end of Q1, we're going to see some of this revenue start to come in, and certainly in Q2 onwards.
Yeah, because you already have existing clients that you can upsell to. Okay, so
that's right.
Let me pass the next question to you.
Okay, I think I would like to touch on SilTerra because we have a lot of questions about SilTerra, yeah. And I know that the word has been coming out many times over the presentation. So on SilTerra, there are actually a couple of questions with regards to this. Maybe let me just try and link everything. The firstly is like on SilTerra, what is the rationale behind the bidding of SilTerra? And what is the competitive advantage of SilTerra as compared to other wafer foundry? Like what is their capability right now? Can they do like 7nm chips? And on the thirdly is what are the chances of you winning the bid? Fourth, what can Green Packet bring to the table that shareholders like Khazanah couldn't, which will allow SilTerra to be finally a profitable company? And lastly is if let's say you get SilTerra, what's the plan for it, and how is Green Packet gonna fund this? I know that from recent news, this would be linked to the Bumitek fund, so perhaps you can also touch on that as well. Sorry for having too many questions. I'm just trying to cramp everything into one.
Yeah, let me attempt to try to address them, and then Kay and Siti can also jump in. SilTerra is actually a very important part of the Malaysian E&E ecosystem, right? It is the only wafer fabrication company in Malaysia that can produce 350,000 wafers in a year. Now, you mentioned about 7nm, and it's interesting because we are not going into that space. SilTerra works on a 8-inch wafer, and the 8-inch wafer is very in demand right now because of AI and IoT, right? And so the sensing technology, the power logic and all that, that is where the 8-inch actually plays very well in. So we're not competing with the Koreans or the Taiwanese in the most bleeding edge of technology, which goes into MEMS, it goes into your cell phones and all that. We're not going to the space, but we're going into the AI IoT space, which is a very fast growing space. So it's really sweet spot. And SilTerra is also located in the northern corridor where Kulim is, and then there's Bayan Lepas, there's Batu Kawan and all that. Now, we are co-investing together with domestic and foreign partners that are able to bring value to SilTerra by bringing the value chain. So, for example, when we have the foreign partners coming in to do product design, they can tap into the IC designer pool in the northern corridor, which amounts to about 4,000 to 5,000 of them. Then we have the entire SilTerra plays in the front end in terms of wafer fabrication and the production of microchips, and we have a fantastic back end. Normally we don't mention names of the other people, but your names like Great Tech, JF Ronken, Inari Emerson, Amelus, they all play in the back end space. So we feel very confident that if we are able to bring the network, the demand from the overseas market into the northern corridor, then SilTerra will be able to optimize its utilization very quickly, and then we need to go into some technology refresh so that we can continue to play very well in the AI and the IoT space. What is our chance? We believe that we've put in a very competitive bid. We obviously, for confidential reasons, we cannot disclose what the structure or the pricing of the bid is, but we're very confident because the bid, as we know it, is extremely competitive. What we bring to the table that perhaps the current owners are not able to is, like I mentioned, we bring in the demand, we bring in the people who want to do the product design. They are able to tap on our talent here, they are able to tap on our value chain, and we are able to bring and grow the entire system. So maybe the current set of owners does not have the connection and the network to be able to do that, but we certainly can do that. In terms of funding, like you rightly mentioned, this is being, what you call the bid is through the Bumitek fund. And because it's going through a fund, our direct interest in the bid itself is not as large as people think it is. But nonetheless, we bring in the local understanding, we bring in foreign partners, we bring in other strategic local partners, and together we will be able to grow that ecosystem. And when we grow that, it's extremely positive for the country, for the E&E sector, for the semiconductor sector, and for the GDP of the country as well.
Can I just have a follow-up question to the Bumitek Fund, Mr. Koo? And perhaps after that, Sipwan, you can maybe chip in as well. So on the Bumitek Fund, right, can you explain a little bit more about the fund's purpose? I know that the media article have mentioned quite a bit, but perhaps we would like to hear it from yourself as well. And what is the planned role for Green Packet under this fund? How much are you willing to commit to the fund? Is it the 100 million which is mentioned? And how is this portion will be funded by Green Packet? And what is the planned ROI, you know, for the investment in the fund? And lastly, has the fund or Green Packet identified any other potential investment for this? Because is there actually enough Bumi players in this space, or is the fund a bit too restricted in its investment criteria?
Okay, so the fund, the first tranche of the fund is we're targeting 500 million. Our commitment to the fund as the sponsor partner is 100 million. We will not go beyond 20%, and we are inviting other partners to come in. This can be foreign, and this can be Malaysian public sector funds as well, because it will be good to have public sector and the private sector collaborating together. In terms of the target potential investee companies, there is about 18.5% of tech-listed company on Bursa Malaysia that may be ideal investee companies, because these are companies that may have for a long time relied on concession. They have global ambitions. They want to play in the regional space. but that ambition is not necessarily matched with the capacity and the capital that they have. So we are able to bring in our professional capacity as well as the capital to upscale them. And we are looking at a 20 to 25% return over a 5-year period. And the idea is that eventually, because this is a fund, we will exit. And therefore, it is in our interest to put our skin in the game, put in the professional capacity, scale them up, and exit with a profit of about 2.5 times.
Yeah, maybe just to add on a little bit, Rondi, in terms of the fund, when we envisioned this fund, it was really a technology focus. I think we are an out and out technology company. Over our history, we managed to build our own technology. We are part of the entire technology ecosystem in the TMT space. And like CC mentioned earlier, the global tech giants actually come to us to look at, having us being the conduit for ASEAN expansion. So when we have all these ingredients in place, and rightly so, that you mentioned earlier, we are so diverse, we have so many things. We cannot continue to keep doing so many things, right? So we decided, hey, let's build a fund, and not only do we then bring capital to the investee companies that we envision to bring them towards ASEAN regionalization, we will also bring technology partnership. We will also bring the community around this technology to them, so that we can also help them scale. So that's a two-pronged approach, both capital contribution and also technology contribution. Yeah, so that's the idea and the purpose of the fund. And like Ku mentioned, why Bumiputra? I think in Malaysia, you do have very good companies in Malaysia. They are quite focused in this part of the world. And Malaysia has actually encouraged a lot of these companies via a PPP partnership, right? And this same model, this same tech, it can be value added, so that, with the rest of the other cutting edge tech that we bring to parts of ASEAN at least.
Yeah, we hope we have covered all the SilTerra related questions with that. Shall we move on to the next question?
Yeah.
Sure. So we have about 8 more minutes. I think I'll ask the last question from me. Rondi, if you have any other question, you can ask later. If not, then we can do a closing remark. The last question will come from the AI City, which is very interesting and is such a huge project. Because now it's a letter of intent, my question is two. Number one is, how confident are you that this letter of intent will actually go through as something that is actually being implemented? Because in Malaysia, there are many projects that was announced, but the implementation may be bumpy. So that's number one. Or what challenges or obstacles do you see in that? Or why do you feel confident that will go through? Number two is, when it's actually being materialized, how do you envision this city to look like, and how will you work this AI city?
Okay. Right now, if you are looking at, just in month of October, we received the LOI from government in terms of letter of intent. Actually, we have participated in a tender or a request for proposal from the government. Actually, it had took us more than a year on this project, and definitely the government are really already decided this project must go ahead, and actually the land have been already clear for the future development. So we have been selected, and really we are going to design this AI city. Is going to be the future city. You can imagine, if in the next 20 years, how will our house, how our life, the way that we live, the way that we play, the way that we work, the way we learn will be very, very different, right? Today, we already feel it with this COVID-19. So the whole city will be filled and powered with what we shared just now, the ABCDEFG. So from day one, you have AI, surveillance security camera to make sure, you are protected and security. And the second thing, everything will be transparent, powered by blockchain. We are starting the AICT actually with a hyperscale data center, right, that will be able to host all sorts of services, on digital. To put it simply, when you walk in this city, even on the retail or in a shopping mall in this AICT, you will have the best 3D, 4D cinema, even with augmented reality, AR, and also virtual reality. You will have the best sport arena in the city, whereby your blood pressure, your heartbeat, your health condition will be observed by all the sensor to make sure that you are going to be healthy, you have better life, and all the renewable energy, you will be powered by all green energy. Is going to be zero carbon for the city. So even this city in the next 20, 30 years to come, you will continue enjoy the best of the technology going to be to empower and enriching the way that you live, work, learn, play, and also, give you the longevity living in this city, expecting, that life is going to live beyond 100 years old.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sisipuan. So, Rondi, do you have any last question? If no, then we can go for a closing remark since it's already
I will just have one last question, which I think is also another question which is always being raised. So, Green Packet team, I think, financial-wise, we noticed that Green Packet has always conducted a lot of equity fundraising exercises. In the past few years, right, there was a rights issue which was completed at the end of 2018, and then there was a 10% of new shares issuance which was completed recently, and then there is another 10% of new issuance again, which was going to complete at the end of this year or early next year. So I guess, and also not apart from that, there is still the warrant, right? So from the investor perspective, while we are glad that the company is able to continuously finance its expansion via equity funding, but it also means that those people might be diluted, right? Can you maybe share with us, will there be any more round of new equity fundraising that is going to come in the next 1 or 2 years? And if yes, I guess it's basically to fund everything that you guys have mentioned, right?
Yeah, sure. Maybe allow me to take this question, right? I think our fundraising is quite targeted whenever we do this. If you look at our recent private placement fundraising in terms of the use of proceeds, right? It is actually to fund the 2 new businesses that we have already announced, which is the Tencent Cloud business. In terms of a certain portion of the equity. The second part is really on the expansion of the digital services business from the fintech and proptech side. So these 2 recent fundraising is very targeted, to do this. And on the Tencent Cloud side, we're also happy to say, because of the legacy eMTN exchange with Telekom Malaysia, it has cleaned up our balance sheet. So the balance of the Tencent Cloud, we are going to raise the financing via debt. Earlier 3-4 years we couldn't do it because of this large overhang on the debt portion. So now we are able to do already. Now we also talk about some of our potential investments that we are doing, which is the the SilTerra, and that one we have done it via a fund management structure, whereby we are the general partner and we are taking in limited partners to put in the money for the acquisition. So that sort of ring fence. we also talk about going into the data center business. Now, getting into the data center business is something that we are planning. We are talking to many interested parties. And if you look at the global expansion of data center, this is a very hot space right now for a lot of private equity funds. Most of them are looking at investment in this space. And very recently in Singapore, I think the country has actually stopped issuing or stopped giving out data center licenses because of the space constraint in Singapore, and also the power consumption is quite high, right? So that one is the spillover effect to Malaysia, and we are looking to actually partner either with private equity guys or people who actually have demand for data center space, and we are designing the structure in such a way that very little funding should come from us, because the fact that we are a landowner, we can barter the land to actually come up with a structure. So that one takes care of the data center financing. Hopefully that answers your question. But as Green Packet, whenever a business opportunity comes into play, we do look at it very deeply. And if we feel this is a disrupting technology, this one is really a sunrise business that we can actually get into, then we may come back to the equity market to raise funds as a seed capital normally, right? But at the moment, the businesses that we talked about, we have sort of designed the fundraising both on the debt side and also on outside equity investment side at the SPV level, so it doesn't touch the holding co level, except the final private placement that we have not completed the balance 5%. Yeah.
Okay. So after prior sharing, my takeaway would be, you cannot just look at Green Packet as a traditional company where you look at the net profit and the dividend. You should look at it more as a tech company and like a startup company, like many, like C Limited, even initially Alibaba, all these, they were working loss, but the valuation is increasing. So in a way, the shareholder is profiting from another perspective. So as a closing remark, Mr. Sisipuan, what would be the key takeaway that you want our audience to walk away with? Let's say if there's one thing they can remember about the future of Green Packet from this entire sharing, in a very summarized form, can you share with us what do you want people to remember about Green Packet as an investment company?
Really, our team today is rebirth of a unicorn, right? We did that in 2007, 13 years ago. So it's a full cycle. If you are really looking at us, it's really a unicorn rebirth. We believe that in very short time, in the next 1 or 2 years, we were breaking our previous record. So it's really the best time that you see our company have built all the right high growth components and also anchor with the cash flow of the legacy business. So we are really the best of both worlds. And right now is really the sweet spot for you to invest in our company.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I'll end this Facebook Live. So guys, thank you very much for staying with us all the way until the end of this Facebook Live. I hope you enjoyed and love this sharing. Moving forward, please go and follow G Packet's company's progress. You can follow it via using the Stockbit app. Anytime the company has announcement, you automatically be generated there. Or if you like this kind of interview, you can go ahead to click like and follow my page or go to my Telegram group, t.me/savvy. The next time we have another company to come on for this kind of interview session, we will notify you at the Telegram group. Thank you very much for watching all the way until the end. I hope to see you in the next week. Bye-bye.